them, they knew me, so they were very earnest in terms of answering questions. And it was about time. I think there was a part of themselves that wanted to really reclaim their narrative and open up. Because I guess, you know, yeah, it was just about time. Yeah.
Wonderful. This is, I don't know how to ask this question any other way, but if the band didn't reunite, could this film still have happened?
Oh, that's difficult to answer. I would probably have a harder time getting them all together in one room. I guess it was easier because they had like a aligned purpose of like getting back together to do that reunion show. And so it was easier for me to get them all together in that same room and also be able to talk to them.
So I know you mentioned you were asked this question when you were doing your press rounds in Manila.
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask it again here as well, but you mentioned that you're wearing the hat of the director here, yet you know you also had an involvement with the band,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to switch hats as the objective director for this?
I think at the end of the day, I really was committed to that objective of honoring their truth. You know, I think they spent years repressing everything and sort of not having been able to express themselves. And so having had that opportunity to get into their minds and for them to open their hearts, I think it would be remiss of me to not actually honor that truth in their story if I didn't uphold the truth. So that was the only way I could actually be objective, was just to make sure that, to set the stage for them, to allow for that honesty, transparency, and vulnerability. And basically just weave it together into a cohesive narrative. That's all I could do. But the truth, it comes from them.
Okay, so that's the objective question.
Yeah.
However, when you went countless hours looking through the footage, trying to piece together the edit, clearly that must have been an emotional roller coaster for you, having to relive.
Oh.
How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think, I have been talking a lot about the band having had a certain amount of time and distance that allowed them to revisit the past with a different perspective. But I think it was also the same for me. It was timing for me. I felt like what Ellie said really resonated with me. He said something that it was about time, like for healing to happen. And healing doesn't happen without reflection and confronting of the past. And it was very difficult for me because that period marked a particularly difficult period in my life as well. And I knew that going back to it would reopen old wounds and like memories bring up a lot of things. But I think, it really is the importance of expression that allowed the catharsis, as I was watching them open up themselves. The bravery in doing that, actually, and seeing that after each interview, whenever they would get together, like it's as if they were talking to each other, well, but actually they were just revealing their truth. So just that takeaway of knowing that expression is so important, and it allowed me to sort of, gave me permission to access that part of myself as well. Seeing that bravery inspired me to do the same thing.
So, like you said, revealing. There was a lot revealed there, probably for the first time that was shared with other band members. So, I'm certain the band's probably all seen the film. What were the reactions like when these truths came out?
Ellie and Marcos have seen the film. They were there at the screening. You saw them. You were there as well. I think they were, well, Ellie told me they were moved by it. He was particularly moved by it, of course. I think some tears were shed, but I don't know. He did mention that, and I think that reaction alone made all this, because it was so physically, emotionally, psychologically taxing to do this. So having had that reaction from the people that I wanted to honor with this film was like, you know, it made things, it made the effort worth it. Buddy and Raymond are actually going to watch it, you know, are just about to watch it. I think they have expressed their trepidation and I think nervousness in seeing that, because, you know, we started shooting before the reunion, before the healing, before them kind of getting back together. So obviously they're afraid to sort of revisit that, but they're in such a good place right now. So I think yeah, I think that's where it's coming from. But it's coming from a good place that they just really want to maintain a good relationship.
Excellent, thank you. Let's take the questions to the crowd. I'm sure the folks there have questions, and I have a hard time seeing. So, if you have a question, please stand up, wave your hand, so I can acknowledge you. Anyone?
Over there, in the middle.
In the middle. Okay, I can't see you, but yes. Anyone? I don't know if I'm pointing to the right person, but.
I have a question. So this is playing in theaters in the Philippines on March 21st.
Yes.
We know that it's kind of hard for people to get into the theaters. Are you planning to have more press before the 21st?
Yeah, we plan to have another press junket in the Philippines before the screening. So yeah, I think FDCP is also scheduling another press screening as well. So I think everyone has been so supportive of this project, and everybody, including us, wants the people to go back to the cinemas, including the band. And so I think I mentioned this a while ago. They came up with the idea of having a lottery performance during one of the screenings. This is the first ever widely released music documentary in the Philippines. So it's history in the making, and we're hoping and anticipating for people to really go back to the cinemas, not just for the film, but of course for the chance to see the guys perform for them in such an intimate setting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Any other questions?
Over there. You in the middle too. Go ahead. The one with the glasses.
Blinded by the lights. Yes.
Oh yeah, as a fan, thank you for making this film.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Just by applause, how many people here were actually at the reunion concert? Anyone? I know there's got to be a few. Okay, wow. What was that like, reliving that again through this lens? For anyone? Anybody can just shout out something.
Surreal.
Amazing, surreal, oh, good words. Diane, tell us what kind of, just a quick question for you. What was that like convincing distributors there? I know you end up with Warner Brothers Philippines. Thank you, Warner Brothers Philippines, for providing us.
For letting us screen today.
What was that like trying to get distributors to buy into the notion of releasing a nonfiction film in the Philippines? Because it's rare that happens this wide.
Yeah,
all, right?
it's rare. So yeah, it's quite historic that it's going to be released nationwide in over 200 theaters.
Wow.
In the Philippines, and there's even clamor for it to be screened outside of the Philippines. Was it difficult? I think it's not so much, because I feel like their music has reached so many people. So even like the heads of these like companies were fans, and when they saw the film as well, I think it didn't take much convincing after that. They were like on board. I guess they wanted to, you know, champion Filipino talent, and they just wanted to be part of that. Just like, you know, the very reason why I did this in the first place as well.
Awesome. Back questions to the audience, please.
The one with the phone. Go ahead.
Any plans of releasing a soundtrack?
Releasing a soundtrack. We are talking to Spotify. Can I say this? Yeah, we are talking to Spotify to release the soundtrack of the film. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one.
But yes. Sorry. Yes.
What about distribution here?
Ooh, good
Ooh.
question.
Oh,
Good question.
we are in talks. We're going to explore that soon. Yeah.
I would like to explore that.
Oh,
We have a
thank you.
distributor.
Wow, we have a
Right.
distributor.
How many people here, by applause, would actually go buy a ticket to the theater if it was released here domestically?
Thank you so much.
There it is.
Thank you. Paco, sorry. Yes.
First, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Miss Diane. Now, the movie resonated not only to me, but I guess to everybody in the theater. The way you told the story was very, very accurate based on how I witnessed it also. But when you were doing this, how were you able to say this is it? This is the final cut, and then leaving the rest on the floor, because that's hard also for you to do, because this is what we're seeing is basically a sample of the vast history of the band. What was going through your head as you were coming up with these decisions to leave the rest on the floor and to
Wow.
present this?
Wow, that's a really good question. Just to give you a brief background, we combed through 12 8-terabyte hard drives. So we had hundreds of hours of footages. This took 2 years to make. By last night, it was 68 versions. It originally was intended to be an episodic film. Then we decided to combine that into a feature film, which means originally it was actually like a 4-hour special. So to have edited some parts of it, it's killing your darlings. Yeah, it was a very difficult thing to figure out, and I think I needed advice from a lot of people and to figure out like what their take on it was, because I also wanted to again be objective about it, but at the end of the day, I think I really just had to stick to the through line and keep the parts that were the strongest for me as well, like in terms of like I said, like expression, communication, the political parts, a little bit of it, like how it happened. I made sure to highlight those things that spoke to me. Yeah, because if you do a film for 2 years, you'd have to keep falling in love with your story, otherwise you would just give up. So I needed to pick out the things that really spoke to me, that felt that like I needed to tell. Yeah.
Well, fortunately, good news and bad news. The bad news is I've been given the wrap it up sign. We have to make the theater ready for the next screening. The good news is we can continue the conversation with Diane out in the lobby. So for those of you inclined who want to continue the conversation and pester her with questions and everything else, that's there. But only in theaters, you said?
Only in theaters, March 21 to 23. In the Philippines, and hopefully we'll bring it here as well. So watch out for that. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing.
Kamusta ang movie, oh? Skilly, oh. Skilly. Oh!